Following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign, trusted by over 500 NFL players for their winning smiles, and broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now your host, Nicole Hutchison.
Cowboys Nation, welcome back into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign here in the SWBC studio. I'm Nicole Hutchison alongside Jess Navarez. Aisha Morrison is not here today. She's feeling a little sick, so we missed you, girl. All right, but we got Brianna Aldridge in the studio as well. Myself, Nicole Hutchison. I have my Invisalign in, y'all. It's a great experience.
You know what?
You got to promote it. I do.
Presented by Invisalign.
I'm talking about. Pretty
Look.
great. Hurts a little bit, but it's fine. I'm getting used to it.
You can't say we don't love our sponsor. We love our sponsor.
Absolutely. We do. We appreciate Invisalign so much.
We do.
We also appreciate the amount of news that we have going on with not just the Cowboys, we got the Dallas Mavericks too. You know
I'm
a little
sure you
bit
don't really apprappreciate that much.
Dallas
about
sports
that
market.
What's going on?
There's like, what's going on?
Yeah, that Luka trade was a little. I went to sleep, took a little nappy nap because I had a flight at 7 a.m. On Sunday morning, and I woke up and I was like, "Wow, this is what they do."
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot. I saw a casket being carried with
That's
people
crazy.
in suits for the morning of it, with a Modelo.
So unserious.
Outside of the arena?
Outside of the
That's crazy.
Yeah, Dirk statue with Luka candles. It's deep out there.
Look, I really don't follow basketball, but you know it's bad when I know it's bad.
Yeah.
I thought it was a joke. Like, I was awake when the news broke, and I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
Like, check on your Mavs fans that you
Yeah.
love. I sent a little text to all the ones I knew. I was like, are you okay? You alive?
A lot of people who
Wellness
don't
check?
follow.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the best comparison for people who don't follow that I read was Beyonce was traded for Chile is what just happened. So for those who don't follow basketball, that is what I'm covering.
Got it.
It was, you know what? That's a great analogy.
That is a great one. Great one.
So too.
All right, ladies, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to dive into the coaching staff, but I do want to point out first that Brian Schottenheimer has put together quite a little staff here. You might want to check on some Cowboys fans because I know that like a week and a half ago they were just crying and saying we're not Cowboys fans anymore, but I know
Are they back?
they're back.
I don't know, because some people
so
still just be so negative. And look, we're not here to be like homers. We're going to call it as it is on the show. I think we all do a really good job of being neutral. But, man, sometimes I'm like, are you guys good? Like, so even the comments, I just got a little hair to go read them, and they were like, you ladies are wrong. Okay, like, I'm sorry.
They're ready to win and turn things around, but it is exciting to finally see the pieces starting to be put together and what they're trying
All we
to
can
do.
ask for at this point.
Absolutely. Let's start with the most recent hire with Derek Foster as the running backs coach. He spent some time with the Chicago Bears and also, the New Orleans Saints, and then also, Lord, getting all of them mixed up today. Goodness
I know there's
gracious.
so many.
It's a lot going on. The
It's a Tuesday.
Chargers, my goodness. He was an important part in why Austin Eckler was Austin Eckler. You talk about him having the best 3 seasons of his career, and then him going to the New Orleans Saints, and then having a huge role in why Alvin Kamara had his best career high, 950 rushing yards. But just talking about that hire, how do you feel like that impacts this now running back room that we only have 2 now with Deuce Vaughn and Hunter Lipke because we don't know if Rico Dowdle will be back or not. But how do you feel like that hire impacts those 2 guys?
Well, I think you said the biggest 2 names right there of who he was able to develop. And I think no matter what position coach we're talking about, it's like, okay, who did he help? Who did he develop? Regardless, like we know the Saints were struggling, right? Like it's hard to win or lose, but it's looking at, okay, who did he develop? And looking at the current Cowboys roster, obviously there's going to be a lot of changes. It's going to look a lot of different than what they had last season. But I think it's going to be kind of, for him, a fresh start. Cowboys, fresh start. And that's what I was saying from the beginning. If we're going to clean house, which obviously they didn't do, but it's going to be nice to have a different voice in that running backs room, new opportunity. And for a coach coming from the New Orleans Saints, like I see it as not a step down for him. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I really like about Schottenheimer's, I guess, coaching staff coming together, like you mentioned, Brie, all the pieces are falling into place, but the pieces that are the most important, which you struggled with, not even just last season, but going into previous seasons. Like the run game has been such a problem that it's been a consistent problem, and you don't want consistency on that side. You want consistency that it's either getting better or it's consistently good. And so what I like about, kind of what Shotty is doing so far in putting this staff together is there's an emphasis on the run game. And specifically, you need the talent to tie the little bow at the top of it. But ultimately, I think what Derek Foster can do is he can take talented player, utilize their strengths, and play on their talent. So who that's going to be, we don't really know. But I will say who we have so far in Hunter Lipke. He's a guy we have been clawing to see more of. And I think having that fullback position could be a little fun for him to play around with. And this takes you out of what you're used to seeing the Cowboys do traditionally in the run game. It allows you to be more creative with the run concepts overall. So, look, I'm tired of being negative about everything that has happened. I'm ready to turn the page and let's see what happens. Let's put pen to paper. Let's see what happens and give these guys a fair chance. I think the last piece needed is who is your running back?
You can only really go up too.
TBD.
Like there are 27th. We're talking about yards, rushing yards per game. And when the Eagles had their dominating win, I hated that the Cowboys had to be the butt of the joke and be like, the Eagles, they've scored more rushing touchdowns in this game than the Cowboys did all season, which was 6. And when you see the other teams at the bottom on who beat them, like, why do the Giants have a better rush? Like it's it's hard. So like you said, not to be negative, but you can only go up.
Yeah. Well, and when your quarterback has the second longest rush of the entire year and your quarterback didn't play for more than half the season, bad. But you can only go up from there.
Yep.
I think it also, what stood out to me about Derek Foster is that he maximizes, it's kind of what you guys already said, is that he maximizes the running backs that he has and their full potential. And shout out to Brandon for finding this quote from Derek Foster on just what he expects out of his running backs. And he said, pretty much, of course, we want to be a 5.0, 5 yards per carry team or score X number of touchdowns. But first, we have to do the little things better than everybody. This game is about fundamentals and who can be more sound than the other person. Fast forward to the end. But my goal is to develop strong habits on the field so we can finish those runs. And that kind of it goes back to what Rico Dowdle had started to kind of get into towards the end of his time here this season. And he started paying a little bit more attention to what he put in his body, what he did as far as the details and things like that. So that's something that I'm looking forward to him implementing with guys like Hunter Lipke and Deuce Vaughn, who are still so much younger than a guy like Rico Dowdle. But when you talk about Deuce Vaughn, what kind of potential do you feel like he has that Foster could possibly kind of bring out?
I mean, creativity. That's what we kind of have been saying is you can be creative with a smaller running back. It's not necessarily a disadvantage, though a lot of people want to strike it as one for him automatically. You can get creative. And his speed, his breakthrough speed, which when you get to see him warmed up, which you just haven't seen a lot of, his breakthrough speed can be something very special. And I think when you look at what the run concepts were with inside and outside zone more so than anything else, you can go past that. You can do a little bit more with this run game, which I think is what kind of was holding Deuce back a little bit. You need that creativity to be able to utilize Deuce Vaughn to, I think, his full potential.
Talking about the play caller's creativity.
Absolutely. Gotcha. And that starts with, you build up your running backs with that running backs coach, and then you can kind of utilize from there. But I think more opportunity for Deuce would help him. And that's the same thing we said about Rico all these years. I mean, we're clawing to see Rico get opportunity. So for me, it's just those in-game reps. I think preseason obviously is your telltale, and that's a long time for him. But I'm not down and out on Deuce. I think you can get creative with him. Do I think he's your starting running back? We don't know. I don't think so. But I'm not counting him out either.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of tough because like what could he really do with the situations when you can't even get who's your number one or your number two in there, right? But I think what's more exciting here is who else they're building around, and their new OC just happens to be this former offensive line coach, and it all starts with the offensive line that never really got that chance to get the continuity this season. So I think that if Deuce does stay, I think that's something to look forward to for everyone because you now have coaches who put emphasis on the offensive line, something where this team struggled consistently all season, and that's also going to be some question marks too, how some of those younger pieces, newer pieces start to mesh. The Zach Martin thing, obviously, like that. But it all starts up front. McCarthy, when he was here, he said that every time, and it just wasn't working up front. It was kind of a mess. So I think that's going to be something to look positive if Deuce stays or how involved. That's it's going to start there.
Valid question. I want to ask the same question about Hunter Lipke.
Oh man, I want to see Hunter Lipke just involved so bad.
It's to your core.
It really shakes me to my core. But the thing about Hunter Lipke is I think it goes back to what you were saying about the O-line. He has been so, and similar to the tight ends as well. Like there's just been such a lack of production. Hunter Lipke's been thrown in there because he has to pass block, and that's great when you need it, but to continuously do it, and that's all you've been doing, that's the problem. So I think, this entire coaching regimen coming in, and from what it seems like, emphasizing not just the run game, but the pass blocking for your offensive line and perfecting that, that takes off of Hunter Lipke. And again, you allow him to actually do either what a traditional fullback is going to do, or you kind of figure out where he fits in because, hey, pass game involvement would be nice. Just seeing him do anything other than run blocking or pass blocking would be fantastic. So to me, sky's the limit for Hunter Lipke. It's been. We just need to see more of, I think, the progression of your offensive line to give him that opportunity.
I like that.
Right. When you have to do, like you said, when you have to do other jobs, how are you going to get the opportunity to see that?
Yeah.
And when you look at both of them, cost-wise, it's a dream. So if you can make that work, if you're 1 for 2 in that situation, like this team, this is how, especially when he talks about, investing in your quarterback and you're investing in your wide receiver, you're about to pay Micah Parsons. This is the time, especially, I know I'm pivoting a little bit here, but when you have Lunda Wells in here, that continuity, something you're able to retain. Okay, well now you got some of these players who aren't costing you a ton. Let's see what you could do and continue to develop what you already have.
Yeah.
I like that too. There's also a chance that the Cowboys could possibly take a running back in the first round. Possibly. We don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
With the 12th pick in the NFL draft 2025 this year. But I was looking at just the other teams that possibly do need a running back. You got the Browns that need one. Obviously, they have a pick ahead of the Cowboys, and that's about it. And there's a guy named Ashton Genty. I don't know. That's possibly like the best option at running back in this draft so far. You talk about his 2024 statistics. 374 carries. He rushed for 2,601. It's this juice cleanse, y'all. I promise you. Listen,
Girl,
this
we
juice
love
cleanse
you.
got me so messed up. I'm over here dying internally. But averaged 7.7 yards per carry. Had 29 rushing touchdowns. Also a guy that can make plays in space as well. Do y'all think that there's a realistic chance that the Cowboys could possibly get a guy like that?
He's the number one running back in this class.
Yeah.
So, if you look at the mock, some he does because you don't know what the other teams are needing. We know what the Cowboys need, and I think a running back, even though it's not the sexy pick a lot in the draft, they're one of the most underrated positions. Well, fortunately for Cowboys, we've seen when we don't put the running back position at a priority.
Yeah.
I can't stress enough how hard it was to watch these other teams not just have one running back, but have 2 running backs, and we just can't figure out with nothing, right? I think that would be a huge investment for the Cowboys to be able to get him. He's been on record more than once, right? He's a Lone Star alum, so this is home for him, and for him to say, it's a dream to play for the Cowboys. Not a lot of other running backs are saying that right now. So I feel like that is, he has some relations with other coaches on the staff, connections to Boise State. I think it's a great fit. Can they do it? Can they pull it off? Is it, can they just sit at number 12 and he's there? If he's there,
Yeah.
I don't see how you don't take that.
Yeah, I think, honestly, I don't put anything past that first round pick. Like, that's what makes it, I think, so intriguing this year is you need so many different things. Like, you need to draft for need at this point. I don't know. I don't know if you go running back first round, but I do know that if he's not available, you have a pretty deep running back group or class, I should say. What I go back to is I think back to when Zeke was drafted and how easy life was, even just being a Cowboys fan back then. You didn't worry about that run game. I mean, you knew that was a solid part of your game. And for me, when you look at Dak Prescott and coming off of this injury and all the talk of him maybe being a little less mobile, all the help you can give Dak with a solid running back, I mean, do it. Whether that's a rookie, whether you retain talent in free agency or you acquire talent, whatever the case is, to me, my automatic train of thought is you need to help your quarterback in that sense because you cannot keep having him do what he's done the last, I'll even give it 3 years in having to feel like the world is on his shoulders because there's no run game for him to build off of. So do I think it's possible? Yeah, that would be a jersey seller. I mean, look, it would make money. He would be a good face for the organization. Like, I don't think you lose in that situation either. But I do think if he's not available, you have so many other needs you need to draft for. And again, I think that goes back to offensive line. That's another one. D-line, cornerback, receiver. I mean, you can go all over the place. But I do think best available option, if he's still available, it would make sense.
Yeah, I found this tweet on Twitter. Dallas Cowboys have drafted just 5 offensive skill positions in first round since 1997. The year I was born, y'all.
I was gonna say I was 2 years old.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was my born year. All right, it was CeeDee Lamb 2020, Ezekiel Elliott 2016, Des Bryant 2010, Felix Jones 2008, Julius Jones 2004, David LaFleur 1997. Again, the year I was born. All right,
Maybe it's a good omen then.
I know.
Maybe it's a sign.
It may be a sign.
I like that.
It may be a sign if they bring in Ashton Genty. But I'm going to kind of go against the grain a little bit here just because I agree with you on maybe it's like a second, third round option for running back just because you already know what Rico Dowdle can do. You finally give him the opportunity. You see what he can do. And you need a veteran guy who can come up there and make plays on his own aside from just the play calling aspect. And you need, obviously, a veteran guy that can help your quarterback. Rico Dowdle is your guy. He's proven he can be the guy. And he did it with Cooper Rush. Not saying that Cooper Rush isn't a starting quarterback, but he did it without his starting quarterback, Dak Prescott. And the offensive line as well. So, I'm going to go against the grain of maybe, again, if he is around at the 12th overall pick, you do choose an Ashton Genty. But if not, then I say you wait till the second, third round to pick running back at that position. All right, we're going to take our first break. We'll be right back with more Girls Talk, Boys Talk presented by Invisalign.
How do you tell the world about all the great gifts in the Yeti store? Let her rip, Troy.
All right, folks, let's get started with the Yeti French Press. Enjoy coffee that stays hot for hours in a French press. 34 ounce for you, 6'4" for the cruise. The Yeti French Press. Hot mix waterproof bags. Bags waterproof. Submersible waterproof doubles. Waterproof backpacks. World's mostly water, so get a waterproof Yeti bag. Do I smell something cooking? Oh, new cast iron skillets made to be passed down like Mama's recipes. Take a steak, cornbread, cobbler's pot pie, and potatoes and next level with 3 sizes of Yeti cast iron skillets.
Gear, gifts, and product experts. Visit the Yeti store on McKinney Street and at South Lake Town Square today.
Discover Aiden, the official luggage partner of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Known for top-tier engineering and craftsmanship, Aiden offers more than just bags. Originating from Australia and designed in New York, it merges fashion, design, and culture. Used by Dallas Cowboys players, staff, and the entire organization, Aiden provides style and functionality for all travelers. Visit AidenTheBrand.com and use code AidenXCowboys for 25% off your purchase. Travel like your favorite stars with Aiden.
When you're on the field, you know what it takes to lead your team and play with confidence. But that confidence shouldn't just stop at game time. It should follow you off the field, too. Join over 500 NFL players who trust Invisalign, the #1 doctor-recommended clear aligner brand. Do it for confidence on and off the field. Do it for you. Ready to take the first step towards a smile you'll love? Don't wait. Visit Invisalign.com/NFL and find a doctor near you today. Transform your smile and take take your confidence to the next level, both on the field and off.
Cowboys fans, when it comes to navigating the ever-changing world of tax, your business needs a partner it can trust to tackle even your biggest tax challenges. Ryan is the largest firm in the world dedicated exclusively to business taxes. Our team of tax professionals has local expertise in all areas of tax and can help you uncover savings opportunities you didn't know you had. Learn more about how Ryan can improve your overall corporate tax performance by visiting Ryan.com. Ryan, the official tax partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
The biggest names in tennis head to the Ford Center at the Star in Frisco literally right now. Witness top-ranked Casper Ruud and former Dallas Open champion American Tommy Paul dazzled the court as the Dallas Open moves to a new home. Catch all the hard-hitting action and watch the top players on tour compete live. Tickets are available now for this fun event at SeatGeek.com. Come check it out if you are around.
I was there yesterday.
I was going to say.
It was
Saw your
great.
stories. I was
Yeah.
like, she's living her best life.
I was living my
I
best
can't
life.
even imagine. Kid and Candy Shop?
It was great.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Chris Eubanks lost in straight sets, but that's a story for a different day. I'm rooting for Francis Tiafoe tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very thankful we don't talk about tennis because what? Sorry, it's going over my head. I have to research these people you're talking about.
It's fine. It's fine.
Well, you can get your tickets at SeatGeek.com
See?
if you
Thank
want
you.
to go research in person, girl.
SeatGeek,
There you
thank
go.
you.
Go, come on,
Yeah,
plug.
I got you.
I'm crying. Y'all are hilarious. All right. We talked a little bit of offense. We'll get back to that side of the ball in our next segment. But let's talk defense because it seems like Shotty's already got the defensive side locked in, loaded. We have Mike Eberflus, obviously, is a defensive coordinator. Linebackers coach who is following Eberflus, Dave Bergonzi. I apologize. I'm still learning these names. Cornerbacks position, it will be David Overstreet. He's also following Eberflus as well. Defensive line coach Aaron White Cotton. And that is all we've got. Oh, defensive passing game coordinator Andre Curtis. Yes. There we go.
Yeah.
We got the team locked and loaded. I'm telling y'all, this is juice cleanse. Don't do it. Don't sign up for it.
Don't ever do a juice cleanse.
Never doing it again.
Okay, but what if the Cowboys have a great season? Does that mean it's like a good omen that you have to do it every offseason?
I think so.
Okay.
But I'm not going to do it every offseason, so there's that.
So there's that.
So no.
So we have the
Not
answer.
a good omen. Got it.
All right, what do y'all think about this defensive staff? Who are y'all most excited about? Let's go there.
This is the Matt Eberflus train.
It's his
and that's what happens when you bring. I mean, that's probably the conversations that Schottenheimer had with Jerry. Okay, what's your plan? Well, I have a long-standing relationship with Matt Eberflus, who happens to be available, and it didn't work out as head coach, but he has, long-standing showing of what he can do on the defensive side of the ball. The one who stands out to me right off the bat is Aaron Whitecon, who will be the defensive line coach, is because he's the only person they brought on the defensive side who doesn't overlap with Eberflus or Shotty. So that lets me know that the Cowboys and Schottenheimer, who seems to be pretty involved in who's going to come in defensively, actually did a little bit of, I don't want to say actually, like, that sounds a little condescending, but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it wasn't just like, hey, that's my guy, he's with me. They went out, they looked at somebody who, had a really good, like, New York Jets fans are mad right now. They wanted him to stay there.
Yeah.
He has
They're
been
mad
able
about
to
a lot.
develop.
To be fair.
With every right.
They're mad about a lot.
He was their quarterback. That's a whole different conversation. But he's come from somewhere, like, the Jets have struggled, but when teams face them, at the end of the day, they've always had a solid defensive line. Quentin Williams obviously is a big factor that he was able to develop. He was there for 4 seasons. He was the assistant D-line coach in San Francisco and Buffalo, 2 teams also. Guess what? They have pretty good defensive lines as well. So I think that, to me, stood out the most. Borgonzi, that is a Matt Eberflus guy through and through. A lot, just like Curtis worked with him in Chicago, worked with him with the Colts. And I thought it was interesting that Borgonzi, obviously another guy who's been with the Cowboys, they love to spin the block, which, comfort there. But I think that's why White Cotton is someone like, okay, there's no comfort there. Like, they're actually they like what he's got. They like where he's been. And yeah, like that's pretty much what I got on those two. I mean, we got Curtis to talk about as well. And Overstreet obviously is a big, his dad was a legend in the game. So
Yeah.
some things to be excited about.
To be honest, I'm just really excited about this staff as a whole. And I like the more I've read into and did more of a deep dive on Matt Eberflus in general, I will say, like, I wasn't the most excited when it was first announced.
Same.
But the more I've like dug into it and the more I've really come to respect what he has done as a head coach, and again, maybe not as a coordinator, because I saw some comments disagreeing with what we'd said last week. But to me, again, this goes to show like they are addressing what the needs in the room were. Like a good D-line. Obviously, when you see the progression of Mozzie Smith and, maybe bringing in newer talent in that room specifically to develop another nose tackle, you need somebody who's going to be patient enough to develop a new talent, but also continue Mozzie on this upward progression that he's been, because it's been slow and steady, but it has been upward. So for me, man, I really want to see it all come together, because yes, on paper it all sounds great and they have their ties, and then you have the "you up" text of kind of an outsider, but I want to just see it all come together. And what I'm interested to see too is kind of how the players, specifically your free agents, feel about it, and who decides to kind of make it a priority to come back to Dallas, because there's just so many question marks. Osa, I'm thinking of Osa right off the top of my head. Chauncey, Osa, those guys, just seeing who wants to come back. But overall, like Eberflus, I want to say my excitement level has gone up about him compared to what it was last week.
And to point out what you said, I think the first thing, like even people, the first thing what you think about Eberflus, he was fired after Thanksgiving Day, went so horribly bad, time management. But again, part of being a head coach is time management. Mike McCarthy was always exactly right, and he's no longer here. But is he a terrible coach? No. That's just that's his resume. That's the latest thing that people remember about him. Yeah. But I want to point out that Chicago, for everything that they've gone through, like they were not a bad team. They had a rookie quarterback that looked like he was going through some growing pains, but their defense overall was giving them a chance to hang in games, close games that a season before and the season before that they were not hanging in. Yeah. And it's hard to watch because like I know the Hail Mary one is like one, obviously that's the last thing that he did in there, but again, that is like the end of that's one play. Yeah, it was a couple games like that one play, and it's like if ESPN was running like if these three things didn't happen at the end of the game, those are wins for Chicago, and we're talking about Chicago's possibly going to the playoffs at that point, right? So that's one thing to keep in mind. That wasn't that they're not coming from a bad Chicago Bears team. Yeah.
Aside from Eberflus, which new hire do you feel like will have the most difficult task? Pretty much when you talk about what they're inheriting on their positions, because you look at just the injuries that the Cowboys had faced, cornerback position, Trayvon Diggs, talk about the linebacker position, DeMarvion Overshown. I mean, the defensive line had their fair share of injuries as well. But when you look at just the new hires, who will have the biggest task?
I'm going to say your cornerbacks coach, Overstreet, because man, not only is Trey coming off of injury and Josh Butler and Kalen Carson. Yeah. Ooh. And then you had Deron Bland barely coming back and on his up and up stride from his injury. That has been an injury-stricken room just back to back to back to back. Like didn't get their head above water to catch any air this season. So for me, you're having to juggle your younger talent who was, slated to be the walking seatbelts, and Kalen Carson, who had a rough start to his rookie season and then gets that shoulder injury. And you have to kind of rebuild that confidence, I think, for him as well, because he had a very rough welcome to the NFL. And then you're trying to do it with one shoulder. You have Trayvon Diggs, who you kind of have to start to look at how to balance your older veteran talent with an injury that could potentially linger if you're not careful with it. Same thing with anything but Bland. And yeah, I think having to juggle, and Josh Butler, he had a phenomenal showing. I believe he's a free agent again as well. So if he comes back, I think you have a really tough job with those injuries alone. And then if you bring in new talent, figuring out who fits where and how because of said injuries. I just think injuries really progress slower than we think so here in the NFL. And post ACL injuries specifically, like, to me, what I've always been told by players is it takes about a year after the injury happened to feel like your actual self again, not even just physically, but mentally. So I think any coach that has to come in and deal with shoulder injuries, ACL injuries, back to back to back, with so many, if not your entire room full of key players, it's a difficult task, but I know Britt Brown and his staff here does a great job as well. So we'll see. But I think that's kind of where my head goes with it.
Okay. Yeah, that's the first thing that I was thinking too, the DBs. I mean, realistically, Curtis and Overstreet are going to be pretty much tag teaming this together as his assistant. I think it says a lot that his title is defensive passing game coordinator, but he started his career in 2006. He's not new at this, right? Kalen Clarkson is the first one that comes to mind. Like, I think it's going to be a big year for him. I think there was a lot of higher expectations. I remember being there at the camp. He was very impressive at camp. And I hate when any player is like the star at camp and then they just fizzle out, right? We saw that a lot with some of the wide receivers, specifically talking about the Jalen's. They were like the story of camp and then kind of fizzled out, right? But I think it's going to be interesting to see what he does. Going Overstreet, he has proven to be able to develop some of those younger DBs. And again, that goes to a lot of these guys. It's like, okay, there's someone, a player, a high-known player and profile player in each of these new position coaches where I can be like, okay, he worked with this guy, he worked with that guy. So now it's going to be interesting to see how you kind of put these minds together, translate, again, coming to the Cowboys where, like you said, pick a position, any position, you can find some growth there. But I would also argue linebackers, we don't know if Eric Kendricks is coming back. We know Overshown is possibly not going to be seen till the end of the, there's no reason to rush him back. So I'm not even counting him as being out there. Maris Leafau was playing amazing, I think, at the end. So that's someone, if I'm looking at that position, I'm excited to see what it comes in. But again, we don't really know what those pieces look like. But I just don't want to see anybody when we're going back to the secondary to get picked on.
Man,
it's gonna happen.
I just want it to.
I also have been dying to talk to Deron Bland and kind of ask his confidence level. Like, going off of an NFL record-breaking season to kind of where he was last year coming off of an injury, like, I would imagine that's frustrating for him too, to kind of be like at your highest of highs, and then it's frustrating because your body's the one thing holding you back from essentially doing that again. And he was known for his pick sixes, and then now it's just kind of like, well, where is he now realistically with post-injury, where he is after this offseason. So I'd be interested to see like how he feels. But as a coach, you have to juggle that as well. Like, that's kind of your job as well, to figure out how you get that level of confidence from your players and you keep it there.
Yeah. Well, you can say the same thing about Overshown as well, too.
Yeah.
I mean, Sam Williams.
Absolutely.
Diggs. I mean, pretty much.
D-Law, if
everybody's hurt. Everybody is hurt.
Stressful.
I know.
Is there a coaching hire that you feel kind of was handed, like, I wouldn't say a silver platter, but somewhat of a silver platter aside from the injuries?
No.
No.
Honestly, no. Like, every single room has something big to worry about, whether that be your laundry list of free agents and your veterans, D-Law, who may or may not come back or retire. I just don't think any part of this team had a solid enough and consistent enough season last year to be like, I'm not worried about it, because whether it be injury, whether it be hey, it's been a while and my contract's up. Do I retire? Do I argue for more? Like, there's just a lot that goes into it. So for me, no, I think every single part of this team, offense, defense, special teams, has their own hurdle of challenges to overcome. Unless you're Brandon Aubrey, then you're excluded.
Then you're fine. I think anytime you're coming off, you're handed a team that was 7-10. You got a brand new head coach who's never been a head coach.
Yep.
There's nothing easy about this situation. But I will say, to somewhat answer that kind of question, I think this is a great opportunity for Clayton Adams to show what he can do and maybe be comfortable because you don't have to call the plays. That's one thing you don't have to worry about. I was worried about who was calling the plays at first, because I'm like, if your head coach is new, there's not gonna, in my mind, what was left, there's not gonna be a lot of distinguished offensive coordinators who are going to come in and be okay with giving up the play calling to the head coach, right? So I was like, and I know I was kind of shooting a little bit over the stars, but like I was, in some magical world, was hoping Lunda Wells was going to get a little bit of a promotion. And that was going to align because I think he would be a great OC in a couple of years, to be honest. And so I was kind of like, but I'm very thankful and I'm happy that he was retained. He, seems pretty, Ferguson was the first person that I saw on social media. So I'm excited about that one.
I want to dive into Lunda Wells getting his extension here in Dallas up next. We're going to take our second break here on Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Invisalign.
Discover Aiden, the official luggage partner of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Known for top-tier engineering and craftsmanship, Aiden offers more than just bags. Originating from Australia and designed in New York, it merges fashion, design, and culture. Used by Dallas Cowboys players, staff, and the entire organization, Aiden provides style and functionality for all travelers. Visit AidenTheBrand.com and use code AidenXCowboys for 25% off your purchase. Travel like your favorite stars with Aiden.
When you're on the field, you know what it takes to lead your team and play with confidence. But that confidence shouldn't just stop at game time. It should follow you off the field, too. Join over 500 NFL players who trust Invisalign, the #1 doctor-recommended clear aligner brand. Do it for confidence on and off the field. Do it for you. Ready to take the first step towards a smile you'll love? Don't wait. Visit Invisalign.com/NFL and find a doctor near you today. Transform your smile and take your confidence to the next level, both on the field and off.
How do you tell the world about all the great gifts in the Yeti store? Let her rip, Troy.
All right, folks, let's get started with the Yeti French Press. Enjoy coffee that stays hot for hours in a French press. 34 ounce for you, 6'4" for the crews. The Yeti French Press. Up next, waterproof bags. Bags waterproof. Submersible waterproof doubles. Waterproof bags. World's mostly water, so get a waterproof Yeti bag. Do I smell something cooking? Oh, new cast iron skillets made to be passed down like mama's recipes. Take your steak, cornbread, cobbers, pot pie, and potatoes next oval with 3 sizes of Yeti cast iron skillets.
Gear, gifts, and product experts. Visit the Yeti store on McKinney Street and at South Lake Town Square today.
Cowboys fans, when it comes to navigating the ever-changing world of tax, your business needs a partner it can trust to tackle even your biggest tax challenges. Ryan is the largest firm in the world dedicated exclusively to business taxes. Our team of tax professionals has local expertise in all areas of tax and can help you uncover savings opportunities you didn't know you had. Learn more about how Ryan can improve your overall corporate tax performance by visiting Ryan.com. Ryan, the official tax partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Love is in the air, and so is the perfect gift. Celebrate Valentine's Day with a gift from the Dallas Cowboys Pro Shop. Whether you're shopping for your other half,
That's so sweet.
gross, or yourself, find the freshest tees, hoodies, and more. Visit the nearest Pro Shop online or shop at DallasCowboys.com. A Fanatics experience. I can't even read that.
What y'all doing for Valentine's Day?
Girl,
I don't know yet.
absolutely not a thing. Actually, yeah, nothing.
Really, y'all for real?
What? I don't know.
Who would I be spending Valentine's Day with?
I mean, I don't
Let's
know.
be
I'm
so
just
for real,
asking.
girl.
Dang.
Not a soul. I'm good.
Oh, well.
I love the aesthetics of Valentine's Day. All the pinks.
It is a Friday, so I will be at work.
Beautiful.
You're not going to get no gifts.
Don't
play.
You can go to
Like, I'm about to
the
get
nearest pro shop online. DallasCowboys.com. A Fanatics experience if you need gifts.
Thank
Why are
you
you
so
like
much.
this?
Well, thank you so much, Jess.
I'm here to help. What can I say?
I'm gonna be at Jess' house.
Y'all are sick.
That's what
We're
it sound
gonna-
like.
Absolutely, girl.
Not for
Valentine's
y'all.
Day, 100%.
13th.
Ooh, let's talk about something fun like football.
Yeah, let's do that.
Please.
Y'all are sick. All right. Lunda Wells getting the contract extension to stay here in Dallas. Woo! Woo,
Everybody,
woo.
we need, thank
Yeah,
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, I think everybody's on board with that one. Just the excitement to have Lunda Wells back. You saw his development and how he helped develop Jake Ferguson. And obviously Luke Schoonmaker as well, Dalton Schultz, who's no longer here anymore. But just having a guy like that back who knows Brian Schottenheimer, who's familiar with what he wants to do, and obviously has a connection with his guys in that room, just how important was that hire, just retaining a guy like Lunda Wells? I'll go with you because you love the tight.
I know. I was like, look
You love
at
the tight end.
Favorite room.
Yeah, it is.
My
crazy.
favorite room. I don't even care. Everyone knows that. Here's the thing. Lunda is the guy that I always talk about. When a player brings you up willingly, you're doing something right. Like unprovoked. Hey, what did you do good? Hey, what's going well in your season, what's not. And the first thing they do is credit their coach. You are doing your job correct. And that whole tight end room just absolutely plays for their coach, like no matter what, good or bad. And something that I always respect is how he approaches his players, because even if they're doing something that they shouldn't, or there's a not great penalty, the way he talks to the guys is very respected, and it's just special, man. So for me to see the familiarity with the continuity, but also the changes coming in, he was the perfect staple to retain on this offensive side of the ball, because it goes past the tight end room even. And I think for me, the tight end room has gotten a bad rep for having to essentially be what do I say, like an extension of your offensive line, because it has been struggling so much. You haven't actually gotten to see what their progression has been like under Lunda Wells as a traditional tight end, because they've been having to block so much. And so for me, man, I just really hope that stops being the case. You get to see more of the progression of what Lunda has been working with Luke Schoonmaker, Brevin Spanford. Cannot wait to see Jake Ferguson kind of back at it, and especially with Dak Prescott back in. So for me, hell yeah. Like, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that.
Oh, you are now.
I tweeted it. I was like, let's party, because for me, losing Lunda would have done more harm, I think, than good, especially in terms of culture and kind of keeping your guys locked in. So
Agreed. Mike McCarthy, when I heard the news, the first thing I was like, all right, I hope they keep Bones. I hope they keep Al Harris. I'm sorry. I looked at you first. I'm like, she's not going to be okay when I say that. Al Harris and Lunda Wells. I think those are the three across the board who, like you said, those relationships, the development. And this is a team, as much as I know we were all in last season, this is still a developing team. And I think being able to go 1 for 3 on my picks, it was something to celebrate. He's just such great energy. Obviously, he's been here since 2020. And who is Dalton Schultz, Jake Ferguson without Lunda Wells? Those are two starting tight ends in the league now because of Lunda Wells, in my opinion, right? Ferguson obviously dropped off a little bit. A lot of that, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, injuries. And, well, you got to play a little, you got to block a little bit of a lot, right? They're struggling up front. So I think that had a lot to do with it. I'm excited to see what those guys do when who's playing behind Ferguson start to get healthy. Maybe they make a move somewhere else. I don't want to get too overly on that one. Yeah. You never know. The Cowboys are always full of surprises. But I think they've sold us on the idea of why Brian Schottenheimer is here, besides the fact that the players are bought in, is the continuity. We just invested $60 million in Dak Prescott. We just had made CeeDee Lamb second highest paid wide receiver, right? We need some continuity on this offensive side. That's what they got in Lunda Wells. And I don't want to discredit the fact that it's got to be a little bit of a gut check for all those position coaches who were playing for their, coaching for their lives last season. So that, to me, that shows the commitment Lunda has to this franchise specifically, because not everybody's going to take that lightly, especially, we don't know the contract situation now, but that's a lot to ask for. And don't be mistaken, Lunda was being requested and interviewed with at least one other team that I know. So,
and also, too, we always talk about it here on the show, like when a coach is so willing to answer questions and not make you feel dumb for asking those questions, whether they're like, hey, I didn't really understand this concept, can you explain it to me? Or it's, hey, why did that happen? Lunda's always so willing to answer questions and be open about it and honest, even he puts himself first. Like, I should have done this better. And then he kind of falls off. Like, I've never heard Lunda sit there and be like, well, Jake shouldn't have done this and this. Like, the way he approaches it, and I think that's what some people really respect about, most people respect about how Lunda is his approach to taking accountability for what he can do as a coach better, and then privately approaching his players to talk to them about individually how they can improve and what they could have done better.
That's what these players loved about Bones, too. Brandon Aubrey was very vocal about that, and just how, the coaches, some of the coaches that are no longer here anymore, they were very big on, getting in front of that train and taking accountability for something that obviously the players had kind of made a mistake on in the game. So we will see that moving forward with Lunda Wells specifically. Hopefully the rest of this coaching staff. And the Cowboys now have a quarterbacks coach they need to hire. They need to hire a wide receivers coach. And they also need to hire an offensive line coach.
Yeah.
So hopefully we got some news by next Tuesday. But for now.
But before we go, who's your Super Bowl pick?
Oh, who y'all got? I mean,
y'all already
I'm not rooting for either of these teams.
Just show me history so I can say I lived through and I saw it.
I
At this
love that.
point.
We already know who she's going for.
Yeah. Let's just.
Karma is the
sick.
guy on the Chiefs.
You're
What can I say?
sick.
Look, even if it wasn't the Chiefs, I'd be going for anybody but the Eagles. That's the team I'm always on. Like, it never matters.
That's
Like,
fair. That makes it the hard part. It's
I don't care who they were playing. It was never going to be me rooting for the Eagles.
I'm rooting for
ever.
So I'm
Can
not
they both
picking.
lose?
I wish that was a thing.
Halftime show. Look, we get a great halftime show. That's a plus. That's a
Yeah.
perk.
They not like us.
They not like us.
Beyonce album
Not
of the
like
year.
Stop.
Take that win. Just threw that out
I
there.
love that. For
Look,
you.
we are just manifesting an entertaining Super Bowl at this point. Nothing boring, and that the Eagles lose. Amen.
And the Chiefs lose. All right. On that note, so long for Girls Talk, Boys Talk.
want the
Presented by
Eagles to win.
Invisalign. Jess Navarre. Brianna Aldridge. I'm Nicole Hutchison. We'll be back here next week.
Bye, Aisha. We love you. We miss you too.
All right. This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!